I was just at the Robert Rauschenberg residency, who is the master of collaboration, literally the master, the innovator, right, of how artists of cross disciplines can work together and do incredible things. So it was this residency with artists and scientists, writers, addressing sea level rise, and there was a sense of palpable frustration because we're just trying to figure out how to just get climate deniers and people in society to understand that this very city that I love so much is going to be underwater. And it's sooner than most of us want to think. When the threat is really going to be knocking on our door, first through economic turmoil and eventually through actual physical impacts, starting with our aquifer and then moving its way into biodiversity loss. So big, heavy issues, and we still have elected officials in this state who deny it. So I was in the west coast of Florida, where there is a lot of I was in the west coast of Florida, where there's a lot of, so I was in the west coast of Florida, sitting in Rauschenberg's beach house and looking out at the sea, place where we used to have his nightly Jack Daniels drinks, and I knew that 150 miles away, several 10,000 years ago, there was. I don't know how many tens of thousands of years ago, so I'm going to go with 10,000 years ago. So 150, as I was sitting at Rauschenberg's beach house balcony looking out at the Gulf of Mexico, I knew that 150 miles out there was an indigenous village that has now been swallowed by the sea. And like that, there are so many of, there's so much, and like that, there's so much history through time where whole societies have been completely consumed by nature, by rising seas, or destroyed, with nature. And I just thought that at a place like the Rauschenberg residency, where all of us were coming together to collaborate to talk about this idea, we needed to make a point. And I thought to look at creating a satirical piece where I said that we didn't need the stuff that we really do need, that we didn't need people to be educated about climate change, that we didn't need government to intervene, that we didn't need people to innovate, that we didn't need regulations to stop polluters from destroying our atmosphere and rising and causing global temperatures to rise that would melt the sea caps, that would melt the polar caps and cause our sea levels to rise. So I created a performance art piece that I videotaped myself creating what I would call 5 action steps, individual actions, sort of a very conservative, sort of small government approach. Just do it yourself. And the satire, the humor was that this is a problem that, can be solved by basically taking all of the water that was going to rise and freezing it, back to its original ice form. So I had myself with some ice cube trays collecting water to be frozen in his beach house refrigerator. And then I have another video of myself eating the water, that you could literally have people set their table and have some waterside dining by eating literally with a fork and knife the water. And if enough of us ate the water as an action, not government interference, not new innovations, not reducing our carbon footprints, but just really eating the water. Or digging a big hole. And this was another performance I did where I dug a hole and attempted to take the entire Gulf of Mexico and pour it into that hole so that the water would be underground, not above ground, and drowning us and destroying our buildings. Another one was to set it on fire, just burn the water away. And the last piece was just to beat the shit out of the water, just to hit it, slap it, kick it, and it would run in the other direction. So that was my way of being challenging the people who stick their proverbial heads in the sand and don't address the biggest issue of our time, sea level rise. And I did that and loved doing it as a performative piece, and as a great in the place of a master who would do a lot of provocative work and a lot of work that inspired generations to think differently about their interactions and what they did with art. It was a great respite for me because I'm usually doing performative works that are bioremediative in nature. I usually don't do stuff that is about accentuating futility. There's a absolute hopefulness to the art that I create. So I plant a mangrove in a place that I know is going to be swallowed by the seas, but I do it anyway because I want to teach society that even in face of their greatest despair, there needs to be hope. And I'm also trying to model a behavior for citizens who are going to care more about their environment and hopefully elect people into public office and work with corporations and businesses in a more ethical way so that we can tackle the hell that's going to befall this island, this county, this state, this country, this planet as the sea levels rise in every single coastal community at the same time. That's coming our way. So my role as an artist is to create strategies, whether it's modeling good behavior, ridiculing bad one, for us to be a more engaged and civil to one another society that's more responsible for those not yet born, those that are going to inherit the hell that we leave them.